The man has said it all. So let's begin. Welcome to all of you. Welcome. Very happy New Year 2023 to you and your families. Wish you all the very best, personally, professionally, and as I often like to call it, caramely. In the spirit of this event here. Thanks for joining. It's the first Sunday of the new year. Some housekeeping announcements as we begin. This meeting is recorded, so we can broadcast it later. Please mute your line. If not, we may have to. Sorry in advance. We have a full agenda today, so we will not be having a Q&A session. We will encourage all of your questions on chat. We will either answer them live in-house right during the call, or we will capture all the chat questions and respond in due course to the whole community. Feel free to use the reactions feature on Zoom. If you're you're happy about something, please feel free to let us know. With that being said, all right, are we ready? And given that I've asked you all to be muted, I don't expect to have the same level of energy that I usually have on stage. So let's get the show on the road. We took this baton of the United States Carrom Association about a year ago, exactly a year ago. This was the date when I think we had our first newsletter out last year. And, we can't believe 2022 has passed so quickly. We've been super busy at the desk of the United States Carrom Association. If you don't believe me or believe our committee, you can ask our families. I think they'll tell you that we have been. But it's all about you first, right? So it's about the community. It's about how 2022 went by. So without further ado, let me, share something that will help us all relive 2022. And I'll be back right after. Enjoy.
Take a hard third pocket. And she does. Quiet please. The first game against the grand champion, Luis Fernandez.
Nicely done.
Championship for Luis Fernandez of Canada.
And
there we go. Luis Fernandez wins the 26th US Nationals Carrom Championship with a hat trick, and what a fine performance by Preeti Jakotia of Fremont, California, who made the champion work for every single point.
Yeah, she.
Congratulations, Parthasarathy. Now, the second place goes to the USA team.
Wow, just wow is all I can say. What a blockbuster year 2022 has been. The skill level on display on the board, the camaraderie off the board, and just the technology advancements of everything in Carrom just paves it well, really well for 2023 and ahead. We are setting a presidents of this meeting, the State of the Union, and you can expect us to continue doing this once every year to reflect, primarily to reflect on the year past, to give you a view into the North Star that we're heading towards and working backwards, and how we're doing there, and what keeps us up at night. So you'll hear all those shades here today, and we will dive in because we have a full house, a full agenda. So let me consider this kicked off. The meeting has been with this wonderful reflection of 2022. Um, we, as I said, have a full agenda. We will have a journey to Carrom 2030 and work backwards. We will, summarize with some community highlights of 2022. And we will have some shout outs for some selfless volunteer work that takes, all of the effort in the background to make all this possible. But without further ado, let me put you in front of the one and only, on the board and off the board, the president of the United States Carrom Association, Bala Parthasarathy. Please take it away, Bala.
Thank you, Naveen. Let me share my screen. If you may stop sharing your screen. Give me a moment, guys. Just switch to my screen here. All right, can you guys see this screen here, USCA Vision?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Apologies again. I got 3 monitors here, the presentations here, the cameras here, and whatever else is here. I may be looking all over the place, but my focus is entirely on you. Trust me. Okay. Thank you, Naveen, for the wonderful introduction. First of all, a happy new year to all of you and your family, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I know it's difficult to take time off from your families and your busy schedules to be here. Truly appreciate it. Therefore, I'll keep the pleasantries short and jump right into the details. All right. So when we first scheduled this meeting about a month ago, the idea was to provide just a quick progress update on how we are doing against our plans. But as with everything else, without the right context, a bunch of status updates probably won't make a lot of sense, right? So you may be wondering, I already know the context. After all, we've been doing it for 25 years now. So what's new, right? What's really new about the context? Well, there are 3 things that are new, right? First is, yes, USCA is indeed a 25-year-old organization, but we are at the cusp of transitioning into the second chapter of our life, right? So far, we have planted the seed, watered and nurtured it to ensure that it takes roots and survives the long winter. But the next 25 years are about growing, sprouting branches, and truly thriving as an organization. What it translates to in reality is, as an organization, we need to operate at a whole another level, right? The magnitude and the scale of what we do and how we do it just went up 10x. We are truly embarking, maybe a cliche thing to say, but we are truly embarking on this journey to USCA 2.0 in a way, right? B, given all of that, we have a brand new structure for how we organize our plans. And we have a responsibility to help you all understand the structure so that the status quo makes sense. For example, if I just tell you, in terms of the status update, I've been busy all morning boiling water, you probably may not appreciate it. You might say like, okay, it just sounds like a random waste of time and why should I care? But at the same time, if I told you, okay, that boiling water is for the pasta I'm cooking, making your lunch for, and there's not enough water, I'm making fire with a bunch of stones, then you may have a slightly better appreciation for what we are trying to do here, right? So that's kind of why we are trying to provide all this context to you. And of course, last but not the least, we have a lot of new members. We need to share as many details with them and welcome them to our family so they truly become part of our larger USCA family. All right, so that's why we designed this segment. Please bear with me for the next 20 minutes or so as I walk you through our ambitious plan and our strategy to execute it. All right, having said that, let me jump right in. At a super high level, this is our framework, right? This is how we organize our thinking, organize our plans. At a very, very high level, at a 10,000 foot level, we categorize everything we do and everything we say into one of four major buckets. We are calling them pillars, right? Pillar number one is the foundational pillar. That's about creating the right environment and the infrastructure. So as it says here, create a well-oiled machine for Carrom as a sport to thrive in the US. This is not just about efficiently running the USCA office. It's also about creating the overall environment in the country for the sport to thrive. That means working seamlessly with all the other chapters and affiliates across the country, making sure we have the right technology in place. I'll share a little bit more details about that. But in summary, that's about establishing the right foundation for Carrom to grow. All the other stuff is building on top of it. Pillar number two is about making US a powerhouse on the global Carrom arena. This is about changing the external perception of US as a Carrom playing country, right? So for example, if you think about soccer, if you ask people like, what are the top countries for soccer in the world? They'll immediately say Brazil, Argentina, Germany, whatever, right? They're probably not going to name India when it comes to soccer. Similarly, when you ask people like, what are the top Carrom playing countries in the world? People always think of India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Maldives, whatever, right? It's unlikely that today people are going to name US in that. So this is about what can we do to put US on that map, right? Change that perception, make US truly as a top destination for Carrom in the world. And number three, it's more about numbers, right? How do we promote and popularize the sport within the US? If number two was about quality of the game, how do we elevate the level of play within the US? Number three is about the quantity, right? How do we get more and more people to play and adopt the game? How do we raise awareness of the game? How many people even know about the sport in the US? Things like that. That's the third bucket. And the final pillar is more global in nature. That's about raising Carrom in the invisible hierarchy of the global professional sports thing. So for example, if you ask a random person, which one would you consider a more professional sport, Carrom or billiards, right? So instinctively people will say like, oh, billiards is a more professional sport. Similarly, if you ask them like, oh, which is a more professional sport, billiards or tennis, they are likely to say tennis, right? So it's not written down anywhere, but people seem to have it in their heads. There is this invisible hierarchy. This pillar is all about elevating Carrom up higher and higher on that hierarchy, right? What else can we do to make Carrom truly a more and more professional sport, right? So these are the four basic pillars we have. So everything you'll hear about, everything we do will be categorized into one of these four buckets or pillars, right? So it's like, think of it as the, you are here on the map when you go to a mall, right? Wherever you are in the mall, you are in the yellow section, second floor, or you are in the blue section, first floor. Think of it like that. This is our foundational framework for how we categorize and organize all our work, all right? So what I'm going to do now is for each of these pillars, I'm going to start with what our long-term vision is. And as Naveen mentioned, our long-term vision is truly, for the next 10 years, we are calling it our 2030 vision. I'll start from there and walk backwards from there. What is our 2030 vision? Where do we expect to be in the next 10 years? And in order to realize that 2030 vision, what is it that we have to accomplish within our term before the end of 2024? And in order to achieve those goals by the end of 24, what do we have to do between now and the next 2 years to accomplish those goals? So that's how the overall presentation is organized here. I'll start with the vision and then the 2024 goals, and then the progress updates will make sense along those initiatives that we take to accomplish those goals. All right. So without further ado, let me jump in. For the first pillar, what does creating a well-oiled machine for Carrom to thrive in the US mean? What can we, how do we visualize ourselves on this aspect in the next 10 years? Firstly, USCA office runs like clockwork, right? There's really very little administrative overhead. Everything is super well organized. It's super easy for a new team that's coming after us or the ones after them to really take on and hit the ground running, right? And then things like we have a nationwide network of local chapters, regional clubs, and affiliate associations, right? Today, we are already quite a few, but we are envisioning a state where you have everywhere in the US a fully networked state of chapters and affiliates that are promoting the game. And then we are financially stable. More money is always good, but we want to make sure that we are financially secure and we have a full scalable revenue model underneath that we can rely on. And to that effect, we hope that we have a steady stream of corporate sponsors lining up to partner with us. And we have thousands of members, not just hundreds. And finally, technology and scientific thinking are embraced into every single aspect of the game. That's our rosy, dreamy end state for the next 10 years for this pillar. In order to achieve that, where do we think we need to be? What are the key milestones we want to hit by the end of 2024? Firstly, the USCA office needs to be 100% organized, right? So making sure that all the books, papers, staffing needs, everything is truly taken care of, right? And we also want to make sure that we flush out our long-term revenue and investment models. And we want to make sure that, in the long run, if you want to have a steady stream of corporate sponsors, we want to start with something small. At least let's have 2 committed recurring corporate sponsors by 2024. And we want to revamp our membership model. And finally, you'll hear more about this in just a few minutes. We are rewriting our fundamental tech stack. We are calling it as our self-service Carrom technology 2.0 platform. And we want to make sure that it's fully built up and rolled out, right? These are our 2024 goals. In order to achieve these goals, we have identified a set of key initiatives, right? These are the things we have to do, right? So the first thing is, it's a pop culture reference. Manda was rolling his eyes on me for putting this term here. Marie Kondo, The Office. For those of you who don't know, Marie Kondo is this Japanese internet celebrity who's very known for decluttering and organizing things, right? So we really think that we need to declutter and organize the office. We want to Marie Kondo the USCA office, make sure that the books, accounts, papers, our inventory, everything is fully accounted for and buttoned up, right? So I want to make sure that we close the loop on that and we establish a process that's fully smooth going forward. And we are doing pretty well on that. The status that is called out as solid green means that we've already made significant progress and it's on track. And the hollow green means that we have made little to no progress, but that's as per plan, right? We are going to be making progress on that very soon and it's on track still. And later on, you might see some items are in red. That means that we're off track and we are in trouble, all right? So on this front, the second initiative is to create and update the necessary policies and bylaws for the organization. Alluding back to what I was saying earlier about how we have to really operate at another level as an organization. To that effect, we have a lot of gaps to be filled in this front, and we made a ton of progress. This is all mostly in the back end. Some of you may hear a little bit more about this in the next meeting, in the life member meeting, but we have a ton of progress made on this front. And then we want to create a sustainable revenue model for the organization, right? So we always don't want to be, relying on entry fees or sponsorship. We have to have other sources of income and revenue as well. And it's not just about having the revenue model. We also want to have a good investment strategy to make sure that we have a good plan for how do we spend that money, right? That's the other side of the same coin. And then the revamping the membership model I mentioned. All of these we haven't really started on yet, but we are at the very beginning of the journey. And all of those you will see a lot more progress coming in the coming year in 2023. And then a few more items regarding technology, enhance our web and mobile presence with self-service capabilities. We have a ton of progress made on this front this year. And then, as I mentioned out, we want to build out USCA's technology platform 2.0. And, it's not just about when I say technology platform 2.0, it's not just about updating the website or increasing our, overall digital presence. It's about creating the underlying technology framework needed to support our ambitious future plans to do things like, real-time score updates, or player analytics, right? When we talk about professionalizing the sport, in every other professional sport, you instantly get player analytics, right? So we want to really do things like that. This is about establishing the foundation to support those kind of future ambitious goals. And we have a ton of progress made on that front as well in 2022 already. And then we want to create a good, clear engagement model between USCA and its countrywide network of chapters and affiliates. I see a lot of people from our various chapters on the call today. So we expect to make a lot more progress on this front this year in 2023. And then last but not the least, our rankings were a little bit off, it was a little bit polluted when we took over. So we formed a ranking subcommittee. Thank you so much, Sam, Hari, and Subbu. It was not an easy problem to solve, but they unraveled the spaghetti and really got our rankings shipshape. And right now we have the updated rankings on the site. And of course, we'll continue to make more progress and innovations on this front in the future as well, right? So one of the things that I mentioned earlier was that this pillar 1 is really the foundation, right? So everything rests on top of it. So therefore, in 2022, most of our efforts went into this. That's why you see a lot of items in green here, and you will see in the upcoming slides, there are not as many greens, because in our 3-year term, the first year is mostly spent on getting the house in order and getting the foundation really bolstered, right? And a lot of this stuff is, in the background, right? It's all back office work. There's not a whole lot that's, front and sexy enough, but just to give you guys a sneak peek, let me just show you a demo of what we mean by USCA's self-service tech 2.0. Quick demo here. Let me put it on full screen. Let me know if you guys are able to see it okay.
Yep, all good.
Well, I can't hear the music though.
Okay, let me see. Awesome. All right. So that is truly amazing, guys. I know it's been a result of many months of hard work, blood, and sweat. I want to give a special shout out to Naveen for pouring his heart and soul into this. So it's already being used by some of the chapters in the more recently conducted tournaments. We really look forward to seeing it put to good use for many more years to come, both for USCA tournaments as well as all other local tournaments throughout the country. All right. So that's about pillar one. Now, let me give you the similar kind of view into what's coming for pillar number two, which is all about making US a powerhouse on the global Carrom arena. What's our long-term vision, 2030 vision on that? So on this front, our 2030 vision is USCA is acknowledged as home of world-class players. As I said before, we want people to think of US when you think about a top Carrom playing country, right? That's our 2030 vision. And then to support that, we also want to make sure that we have a learning path and coaching programs for players of all skill levels. And we want to make sure that by 2030, we have conducted at least 2 major international events, such as the World Cup or World Championship on US soil. And of course, we also want to make sure that we have great relationships with every single Carrom playing country in the world, right? And in order to achieve that 2030 vision, what milestones we have to hit by 2024 on this front? Firstly, we want to make sure that we have a podium finish for US at the world stage. I think for this one, we already probably have I think the paper leaked. We probably can check this box already, thanks to our amazing women's team. But obviously, we're not going to settle just because we accomplished it once. We want to make sure that we continue and we get to the top of the podium, right, across all categories, men and women. And we want to make sure that we conduct at least 2 nationwide coaching camps. And like I mentioned before, we want to have self-serving learning path for all skill levels. And by 2024, we want to make sure that we at least have a bidirectional communication channel with ICF and at least 2 other foreign Carrom associations. We're doing okay here, but we can certainly do more to improve the channels of communication. And in order to achieve these goals, what are the initiatives that we have identified? Firstly, this is something that we all do. We want to make sure that we continue to conduct regular national and international tournaments. And as you guys know, we typically conduct 2 major tournaments per year, the US Nationals and the US Open. And we did that in 2022, and we will obviously continue to do so in 2023 and beyond. And the next one is super interesting to me. That's about conducting coaching camps around the country. And many of you know JP. JP is leading this initiative, and this is coming soon in 2023, right? So this is about, I don't know how many of you know, but just before the pandemic back in 2019, 2020, we brought Arun Deshpande, Shri Arun Deshpande, one of the world-renowned coaches from India, to Bay Area. So he spent a whole week with us, and we had a week-long Carrom coaching camp here, in-person Carrom coaching camp for several hours a day. And what we hope to do is to bring similar other big, well-known coaches from India and elsewhere to travel around the country within the US. And we want to conduct multiple coaching camps throughout the country, right? So maybe a week in Bay Area, a week in Texas, a week in New Jersey, wherever it is, right? So we want to make sure that we conduct those. And JP seems to know every single coach, player, manager, and their cousins in the whole world, all the way from wherever, right? So really looking forward to this, super exciting stuff. This is coming very soon. The next one is about conducting regular online tournaments and events, right? Yes, in 2022, we did conduct a few tournaments, online tournaments earlier in the year. And also many of you participated in the Holiday Carrom Challenge that Ranjit and Panna conducted. So certainly we did something, but not nearly as much as we wanted to do back in 2022, right? And definitely, given all the other stuff that we have plans to do for now, given our bandwidth, we really don't think we can do justice to this. That's why this is categorized as a red area, right? So we certainly need some help on that front from you all, right? And the next one is, on that note about developing relationships with ICF and foreign federations. We have our amazing ICF representatives. Atul Bhai, thank you for dialing in from India. And Murali is also on the call. So both of them have a seat at the ICF table. They are part of the ICF Office Bearers Committee. And along with them, I'll also be working with them to make sure that we continue to build upon our relationships with ICF as well as international Carrom associations, other Carrom associations. And on this front, although we have continued to maintain our relationships, we expect to double down on it even more in the upcoming years. That's why it's marked as a hollow green. All right. And then finally, we want to drive more followership for US Carrom on social media. Yes, we made significant progress on this front in 2022. We have a lot more followers today than a year ago, but still most of it was organic growth. We really did not invest in it. We didn't really do anything extra to get all that extra. We can do a lot more, and we hope to do so in 2023. Moving on to pillar 3. Sorry, I'm rushing through a little bit because I think I'm a little bit behind on time. Popularize the sport of Carrom in the US. On this front, our 2030 vision, is that we have tens of thousands of players playing recreationally all across the US. And out of that, we hope that thousands of players are playing competitively. Today, we have hundreds, a few hundreds, low hundreds of players who are competing in tournaments. We hope that number explodes into thousands by 2030, including lots of women players, kids, as well as players from outside the Indian diaspora. This one is particularly close to my heart. Having existed for 25 years, this is one area that we haven't really made a lot of progress in. I'm really hoping that I truly believe that this is how the world gets better, right? So you take something that is really amazing in one part of the world, and you let people from the other part of the world discover that and borrow it and adopt it, right? So really hope that we can take this amazing part of our Indian culture and expose it and let it grow in other parts of the world as well. And then, the other one, I kind of put in a funny word here. 1 in 100 strangers in the US has heard of Carrom. This is about raising awareness of the existence of the sport called Carrom. Like, take, for example, you go into Times Square or something like that, and you ask 10 non-Indians, right, have you heard of Carrom? How many are likely to know or heard of Carrom, right? So this is about really changing that status quo. Make sure that in addition to growing our numbers of players, we also grow the awareness of Carrom as a sport itself, right? And to do that, what do we want to achieve by 2024? This one is very much quantifiable. We have thrown in some numbers here. We want to get to a point by end of 2024 where we have 500 players playing competitively all across the US. And it's not just, I'm not saying 500 players playing in the nationals. You count all of the local tournaments, regional tournaments that we conduct between us. We want to make sure that we have at least 500 players playing in these tournaments between all these ones. And then out of that, as I mentioned before, we want to conduct multiple kids coaching camps. We hope to conduct 10 kids coaching camps between now and the end of next year. And out of that, we hope that 10 kids graduate to playing in competitive tournaments, right? And similarly, we hope to conduct 10 events that are specifically focused on women players. And out of that, we hope to get 10 women players graduating to competitive play. Similarly, we want to conduct promotional events all across the country and discover 100 new players via those promotional events. And the other goal, as I mentioned, we want to discover and clearly get at least 10 players from outside the Indian diaspora. And then the last one is, in India, you don't have to go far to find a club room or a boardroom, right? So we really hope that we can establish at least one physical club room somewhere in the US within our term, right? Very ambitious goals, but we're going to try. And in order to do all this, these are the initiatives in this pillar. And this one here, the first is instantiate a nationwide kids program. Many of you know our dear Sam Malisetti. He is leading this initiative. And we conducted a few, Carrom 101 for kids kind of sessions in our big tournaments. But we really hope to put it on steroids and conduct and roll out a nationwide kids program. And starting this year, you'll hear more about it in the next few months. We have some ambitious plans on this front. And the very next one is to drive women's participation. And on this front, I requested Vinita, our head of the New York chapter, to lead the way. I cannot think of anybody better. Between her and players like Preeti, we have fantastic role models here. For it's a shame that we have so many tournaments. We have been here for so many years, and we still have no more than double digit. We're not getting significant numbers of women players. We really, really hope that we make a significant dent on this front in 2023. The next one is to promote Carrom in offices and public places. We really have to do it, but right now we don't have a concrete plan on how we're going to do that. So that's why it's classified as being in red status. And then improving press and media coverage for US Carrom related events, right? And Nilesh Bhai, whom many of you know, he's he's a doctor by profession, but he's very passionate about media, right? So he does a lot of sports reporting. So he has lots of connections in the media as well. So he's leading, he's our head of media relations in a way, right? So we're going to be partnering with him and see what we can do to really drive up coverage for Carrom events, especially for US Carrom events in the media. And then finally, we want to conduct more and more promotional events, not tournaments, right? These are events geared towards raising awareness of the sport. And on this front also, we need some help. Finally, pillar number 4. What is our vision for elevating Carrom in the world of professional sports? Our vision is that Carrom is regularly covered on popular sports channels, and thousands of people follow Carrom tournaments in real time, right? Especially US Carrom events. And the concept of Carrom player analytics, which is pioneered by us in the US, is widely adopted by Carrom associations worldwide, right? This is our grand ambition for 2030. In order to do that, by 2024, we want to achieve the following milestones: coverage in at least one major TV sports channel, 500 real-time followers for major tournaments held on US soil, and time between SRR. It's a very specific goal here, but it's to the effect that we want to reduce the time it takes to conduct, to go from round to round within tournaments, so that we can not only create and maintain a more professional schedule for our big tournaments. Also, it opens the doors for doing things like when you're partnering with TV channels and things like that, they want to run ads, right? So we want to make sure that we put in structure and we bring it down to a manageable time within that, right? So we need to time box those. And one more is, I put in as at least 3 experimental solutions tested. And these are not just experiments for the sake of running experiments. We have a lot of real problems to solve, right? How do we manage the schedule? How do we shrink our schedule? How do we make the game more spectator friendly? So many different problems to solve, right? But we've been a little averse to changes all these years. So we want to be a little bit more bold and take some risks and conduct some small experiments and tweak our way through it, right? We want to learn and adapt and see how we can solve these problems. So we want to conduct a few experiments. And Rulebook 2.0, right? So the Carrom rulebook that we all use today, which is the ICF rulebook, has not been touched in about 30 years, right? So it's outdated, it's got a lot of ambiguities, it's not very accessible, to be in short, right? So we want to really invest in making, we want to modernize the rulebook. And we want to pilot the concept of player ratings. We already have a very basic version of that within Bay Area. We call it BACA ratings. We hope to roll it out nationwide by the end of our term. And in order to do these, here are the initiatives and how we are doing against those. First, driving coverage on mainstream sports TV channels. As many of you know, we partnered with Willow TV during our 2022 US Nationals, and that was a fantastic pilot experience. It worked really well. And we look forward to partnering with them more for 2023 and beyond as well. And second, we want to bring more innovations to the tournament format and schedule. We tried a few things here, but we really did not move the needle enough on that front. And we don't know how we're going to do that either. So that's why that's in red. And the next one is creating a modernized version of the Carrom rulebook. So Murali here, who's our ICF representative, has taken the lead on this. And we have formed a rulebook subcommittee, including Rahul Nalavade and Kishore Tallapragada. So they are the rulebook subcommittee. They've already started working on it, and you'll be hearing some more progress on this coming up in the next few months. This is really about, taking an initiative that everybody has been talking about for a very, very long time in the entire world of Carrom, but nobody has done anything about it, right? So I'm super excited about this effort, and thank you, Murali, for leading this. And the next one is, like I said, create a player rating system. It doesn't exist in the world of Carrom at all. We only have rankings. We don't have player ratings. This is about pioneering this concept and see if we can get to a state where we can truly utilize it and then graduate that into truly making it as some kind of player analytics kind of a thing, right? And again, it's something that we want to do, but we don't have any concrete plans or the resources to make it happen. And similarly, the Carrom equipment, right? So we all, there's not been a whole lot of innovations on the Carrom front. The current equipment we use, it's vulnerable to weather changes. It's not consistent. The coins always don't rack up nicely, etc. We haven't made significant progress on that front, right? So we really want to see what we can do about that also. But again, it's relatively low priority and we don't have a concrete plan on that either. But that's something that we have identified as something that we hope to do before the end of our term. All right. So now having said that, just zooming out and giving you guys the big picture. Don't worry about the text here. This is just showing you in a big shot, right? The big picture of the whole forest, right? So the rightmost column are all the initiatives that I just went through. As you can see, it's a lot of work, right? So it's almost like a full-time job. I feel like I have two jobs now, my actual work and this running this USCA along with my team, right? And not only that, while you see that every single one of these initiatives is a big item, right? It's conducting a, instantiating a nationwide kids program. That's a massive initiative. But if we have 25 of those, there are some items that tend to take up most of our energy. So for example, conducting the usual major tournaments that we do, US Nationals and US Open, this alone takes 90+% of our bandwidth typically, right? So we really need to figure out a way to improve our processes and scale ourselves so that we can really do justice to our plans, right? So that's my long-winded way of saying that we really need help. And to that effect, I am super thrilled to introduce the latest member of our core team, my dear friend Kaushik Krishnamurthy from Seattle, Washington. While the name may be new to some of you, his face may be familiar to many of you because he came all the way from Seattle to help with organizing both the Carrom tournaments that we have conducted, the nationals we have conducted in the Bay Area back in 2019, as well as in 2022. He came all the way from Seattle 2 days before the tournament, helped us during the tournament throughout the 4 days, right? And I've always been consulting with him offline on picking his brain on various things. And by day, he does strategy and planning for Microsoft, and he brings a ton of real world experience. Right now, he's somewhere up in the mountains of the Pacific Northwest. I'm not sure if he's on the call. Kaushik, are you there?
Bala, I am actually. I just managed
Awesome.
to.
Yeah, please. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hey guys, as Bala said, I've known Bala for a very long time, since last 30 years. And I am super excited. Like I said, I'm based out of Seattle. I work for Microsoft and want to thank the USCA committee for giving me this opportunity. I'm super excited to be here and look forward to all the engagement over the next couple of years. So.
Thanks, Kaushik. So Kaushik and I go back a long ways. We used to be doubles partners back in college 25, 30 years ago. And he used to do my homework too in college. Now he has the privilege of doing it again. Thank you, Kaushik. I really look forward to working with him. Haha. All right. Now, having said that, right, so obviously we're looking forward to working with Kaushik and utilizing his experience and expertise, but we still need help. There's a lot of, this is our new core team. As you can see, you already knew that between me and Naveen and Mandar and Tani, and now we have Kaushik on the core team, but we are still looking for expanding our bench strength, right? So we are really looking for, there are lots of areas where we need help, and we're looking for people who have the passion for the sport as well as have the experience running large organizations, especially nonprofits. So please, if you have experience and you are interested, kindly reach out to us. There are plenty of areas where you can contribute, right? And you, as you saw in the status slides, there are many areas that are in red, and we really need help. So please reach out to us. There's a lot of interesting work to be done, and I'm sure we can, with all of us working together, we can really move mountains. We have an amazing opportunity in front of us, so I'm super optimistic about it. And before I hand it over back to Naveen, as promised, let me give you guys a quick sneak peek into the calendar of events for 2023. First and at the outset, what's super exciting is how full this is, right? This is not even the complete calendar, right? I requested yesterday many of our chapter leads for what are your local events? And as you can see, the ones highlighted in yellow are the two major USCA events that are happening. And we really wanted to publish these ahead of time so that all of our local chapters and affiliates, they can plan their local tournaments accordingly, right? So that we divide and conquer. The next major USCA event is coming in the end of April. We are going to be having our next nationals in Cleveland. Our evergreen champion, Saravanan Chandrababu, has gracefully agreed to host the event in his ballroom in Cleveland. Thank you, Babu. And we are really looking forward to seeing all of you guys in there. And of course, we're also locking the dates for when the US Open will be for 2023. And that's going to be led by Roshan Mushin from Maryland, along with the USCA team supporting it, right? So that'll be in the Maryland area. The exact location is yet to be decided. And the preferred date is September 8th, but it may be 1 or 2 weekends here and there, right? So we want to fix these ahead of time so that the rest of us can plan the other events around it. And as you can see, we have a full calendar, and it's not even the entire list, right? So I'm sure there's a lot more. And by the way, if you are conducting any events, please reach out to us so that we can advertise your events on our website and other social media channels, as well as we can help you with registrations and tournament software and whatnot, right? So I've been talking for a long time. Thank you for patiently listening to me. Thank you for being here. And I hope that it's been informational and useful and gives you an idea for what we are trying to do and why and where we are headed. And but that's enough about us. That's what's been cooking in the USCA kitchen. Now let's shift the focus back to you, what you as a community have been doing. So let me hand it back to Naveen to talk about that.
Hey, thank you, Bala. If you want to stop sharing, I can
Yes.
quickly pick it up. You able to see my screen? I'm going to give you a full-blown preview back. All right, so down to the community. Yeah, as Bala said, thanks for putting in the the tee up for our community, and it is you that make all of this worthwhile. Cannot say anything without a heartfelt thank you. Your feedback has always been significantly important in driving initiatives forward. We've always had a very open and transparent culture. One of the reasons why we request surveys and feedback. We would love more participation into that, for sure. I just want to, in the interest of time, we were originally planning to give you a live review of all the member survey and US Open participant surveys in our culture. I will send that offline, I promise, over the next week. But I just wanted to run you through the framework with why we would do this, right? So we strongly believe in the following four aspects. One, to achieve what Bala has just talked about, and we firmly believe as an organization in 2030 Carrom should be in, we need to identify those problems that are in our way and help catapult Carrom to the 21st century. And to do so, status quo is not enough, right? We've got to identify the measured experiments along with our chapters. A lot of experiments are done with our chapters as well. It's not just USCA. And along with our chapters, identify those measured experiments and focus on those specific problems. So we absolutely will go through a change curve collectively together. Testing and learning with experience and feedback is absolutely important in that. And we don't think there are any failures. There's only learnings. We've loud and clear about one particular metric of experimentation that we have just come out of in the US Open of the 4-board format. And out of the 19 responses, I'm happy to even say, openly here that 60% of you felt the 4-board format was not a valuable experience in US Open. And yes, it's transparent. We will want to continue to learn, test and learn, and continue to have that journey forward, in place. And I will share the US Open participant survey, in shortly as well. So from our player base, we have grown significantly in the last year. We are now at 399 members. We started the year at 150. Sorry, players specifically. These are categorized as anybody in the US has played any tournament, is on our USCA website as users. They've created profiles, they're watching, they're experiencing, or they are a player themselves. We've got 399 of you. And the footprint has essentially spanned across 24 of the 50 states. Yes, as you can see, there's still a lot more work to do. But, if you look at the concentration of all of you, all of the community, it's always been like Carrom, has always had a very significant presence in the East Coast, in the Northeast, and in the Central South, which is Texas. But you see the emergence of California and West Coast regions, and you can see the distribution continuing to grow immensely, across these three regions and in pockets across the country. So Again, this is a moment to feel good about the continuous growth of our community, continuous growth of our player base. Now, with about 7 minutes left, I do want to jump into some selfless work that has always taken place, volunteer work that gets done even without asking many a times. The patronage that we receive from all of you that comes with heartfelt gratitude. That we do want to shout out to all of these following ones. So as I read them out, please virtually give them your applause, because they do need every one of it. And these are not people who have been sort of responsible or made accountable for any role, but they just volunteered, right? And they did it. So first, we'll start with our key players. And as you saw in the video upcoming, it has been a blockbuster year for USA, especially our women's team. And back silver, specifically Preeti with rank number 5, and continue to give everyone a virtual applause here. The men's team, just against all odds as well, didn't expect to be here and did phenomenal.
What do you
Especially,
mean
I
by
would
against
say,
all odds?
sorry. uh, and Shibu being one of the podium, in rankers in terms of number of slams in the World Cup again is very heartfelt. So just thank you to the women's team. Huge shout out. Thank you, Preeti. Just continue your amazing run that you've been having. We have Shibu on the stage. I mean, just look at it there. Right on his right is Prashant. I can see Gufran and I can see K. Srinivas on his left. I mean, that must have made all of us super proud, including Shibu right there. So, um, we the awesome team. I mean, we sent a contingent of 12 participants with out there, and they all held us proud, right? So, fantastic work by the World Cup team there. The second segment here of our shout outs go to our key promoters, right? And with promoters, we essentially have two segments here. We call them bar raisers. And bar raisers are ones that have thought outside the box and just raised the bar. Like they did not stop with the status quo. So first, I'll start with Madhu and Shakil. And this was particularly for raising the bar at the US Nationals. And we did not think that we would get any further with the media. We need one major TV channel to cover our sport. We did not think we would get there in 2022 before as we started the year. But these two made it happen. So fantastic work there, Madhu and Shakil. Really, really, appreciate all the efforts behind the scenes to keep this partnership even continuing to go strong. Then we have, we always need, find Madhu, Mandar would always tell us as a treasurer, Rokhada chahiye. We need the sponsorships. We need the patronage, to make all these ambitions successful. And Raj and Nikhil have got some very, very amazing tricks in their belt to be able to solicit some individual relationship based sponsorships as well as partnership with real local businesses. And Raj and Nikhil, a heartfelt thanks for all the efforts that you did on the US Nationals in terms of bringing in sponsorship and raising the bar there. We do want to thank both our BACA team and our CPL team, and this is on the bar raising technologically, streaming first, real live streaming for the very first time with commentary in the US Nationals, conducted by the BACA team, and then taking that forward with illustration and live score updates and player paperless score entry. Just congratulations, team. I think these two have taken the technological bar ahead in our landscape. So really very well done. We would just go into the next segment here, which is again part of our key promoters, but selfless service is that theme. And the following two are not mentioned very often, but have done a lot for Carrom. I was just part of a discussion with Roshan in December, helping with my little bit of time, but realized that he's been doing a Carrom tournament every year since the past 17 years in the Maryland area. Wow. That just, and it's in his garage, attended by 40 plus participants. And, just thank you, Roshan, for all that Carrom promotion that you're doing, even without any accountability, you are doing it yourself. And Asif in the Michigan area. So thank you very much, Asif. Again, I was happy to witness some of the tournaments that you conducted recently last year, as well as one in the end of December. I think it was really professionally well done. So thank you very much for both of these selfless volunteers. It goes a long way. I mean, we have a lot of folks behind that continue to help us with patronage, with their thought leadership, with their offers to go help even without asking. And I cannot say enough about Panna Chaudhary. Just overall, he would probably check across all these bars that we just talked about. He has been the most significant donor in addition to all the selfless work that he has done. So thank you, Panna. Thank you, Shivram Godagre, who has been a continuous patron. And so it's not about recency, it's about continuously supporting the USCA and in various events across the years. So thank you, Shivram, Dr. Shivram, and thank you, Babu, for offering our consistent donations as well as helping with the Cleveland event coming up soon. We didn't have pictures for Deepak, but Deepak, is sort of an honorary life member along with Ramesh Srinivasan, and they go a long way, long way in helping USCA fast track our cause. I will head to our special events specialists. Thank you for cheering us all in the holidays when we were having rain in the Bay Area and snow in the East Coast and even in Texas. And nothing better to do than sitting on the board. These two took it a mile apart and helped us with sparked us all with a holiday cheer. So thank you, Panna, and thank you, Ranjit. We celebrate you for all the work that you've done. So special event organizers. I would, I would then pass it over to my chapter leads. Our chapters at the forefront have been a significant reason of how we have been able to grow. Almost 266% growth, introducing Carrom to, all of these parts of the country. And, all of the folks here deserve a huge round of applause because they've started from, just a passion, and they've grown it to associations. We have two members in the New York lounge because there is a transition of power, as I understand it, from Nilesh to Vinita. So congratulations, Vinita, on that one. But Chandu, Raju Godugu, Shakil Beg, Nilesh, Vinita, and our newest chapter with Srini Gade in Seattle. Just a job very well done. Thank you so much for all the efforts at the forefront. Right at time, right at 4 p.m. Pacific. That is everything we had for this session. Thank you very much, all of you. And for life members, we do have a follow-up meeting. Please